Fit Finance Bro is an investment banker that also shares a love for fitness. He posts valuable content on social media with the goal of motivating people on how to balance a busy work life with fitness as well. His growth is extremely impressive with over 25,000 followers gained on Instagram in 4.5 months. Now, this is the Hayden Smalley Show, where I interview creators and get their insights on how to grow and monetize on social media. Why did you decide to start posting content?
I think a big reason I decided to start posting content was because the niche I'm in is not widely talked about. There's a lot of resources online for students and people who want to get into investment banking. There's a lot of resources for them to look at, to research and things like that, but they don't actually have any like genuine connections or genuine display of people in the industry. And so I think there's only a few on Instagram that really kind of share both a fitness and a finance kind of story. And so I thought I could just kind of show who I am and that people would enjoy it.
You're seeing a lot of success from that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's I started the account back in, I think, the first week of March or so of 2024. And within 3 months, let's see, it's July. So 4.5 months, I've hit over 25,000 followers. Definitely not something I expected. My plan was to give it a year and see how it goes. But I guess people really enjoyed the content that I was posting. They found it helpful. And that was kind of my goal, is to provide a little bit of value as well as, comedic relief, posting memes and stuff like that, in addition to like, hey, this is actually what I'm doing. Here are some tips.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you said for a year, what was your goal for a year? Did you exceed that year goal already or what?
I didn't have a specific number, to be honest. My goal was to kind of take it personally and see if I felt like I was making an impact. Even now, I have no monetization on my account. That wasn't really my goal in starting it. If that comes with it, that's great. I'm all for it. But my goal was to just see if I could help other people in my position. Originally, I'm not sure if you know the investment banking world super well. It's a very competitive career. We talk about the large banks in New York, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and Morgan Stanley, things like that. They have a lower than 1% acceptance rate to a lot of their jobs and internships. And so while I'm not at those firms, investment banking in general has a similar kind of competition. I mean, even at a small firm like mine, which I do have to keep anonymous, we've received over 1,600 applications for the internship next summer. So recruiting starts over a year in advance. And 1,600 applications for 2 spots, right, is a lot. And so, typically banks only recruit from the big Ivy League schools. I am not from an Ivy League school. I'm from a non-target state school. And so I wanted to show kids that it's definitely possible. It takes a lot of hard work. And not only is it possible, but you can still maintain a life besides only investment banking. And that's why I kind of incorporate the fitness background as well.
Hey, if you want me, a man that has helped build a 1.6 million follower brand, helping you to grow and monetize your following, go ahead and go check out my mentorship, link in the description. That's awesome. Like, it is a smaller niche that I think about, but like you're saying, it's like it's big in the competitive sense. So that content can really connect with this smaller niche that it is, I feel like. Plus, people that are outside the niche probably connect to it too, just because it is interesting, and that competitiveness to it can be interesting for them also, I'm sure, to watch. So for your following, if it continues to grow, or even right now, is there any monetary ways that you're thinking of to grow it? Or is that not even on your radar yet?
Yeah, I think there's definitely ways I could monetize it. There's been a couple brands that have reached out to me that have asked me to do some reels. I had plans to do a couple for a brand, an app specifically, kind of got washed and reworked, and we're still working on it. But there just hasn't been any brands or things that have approached me that I felt like this is what I want to give to people. Because I'm really looking to only use monetization that I would also use. As investment banking is also notorious for having large compensations, right? So I don't typically an hour of my time, if I'm, let's say we're charging a client, right, at my firm, an hour of my time is worth over $200. And so for me to then try to make reels, whereas my time is valued more in something else, unless someone is willing to pay me over $200 for an hour of my time, which they likely aren't, which is totally fine. Not expecting that at all. It is more just like a hobby. So if I do get big enough where that becomes valuable to spend time on it, then I will definitely pursue it more. But until then, I really just have to make sure I focus on my job first, and I'm able to hopefully, as much as I can, provide value on the side for students and kids in their career.
Yeah. So, like, have you ever thought of like a mentorship or a one-on-one coaching? Because since you're in an industry that's such high paying, you could get high paying clients that would make it worth your time, I would think.
For sure. I definitely think there's a lot of resources already out there. And I try to show the people who follow me that I am still very new. You know, I've just broken into the industry. I haven't even been working a year. You know, I just graduated a few months ago. And so I think I could provide a lot of experience and advice down the road. For now, I don't think that I'm the best resource. I think there's a lot of other people out there that have been in investment banking specifically for a long time. I am trying to provide more of a motivation, I guess you could say. While I do provide some tips about how you could break in from a non-target school, it's also, hey, I go to the gym, I bodybuild, I have these other aspirations as well, along with my work. So investment banking is known for these crazy 80-hour work weeks or more, whereas I am at a smaller bank, so I don't work quite as much and I'm still able to balance some life. So usually when kids or people, I should say, approach me saying, hey, how do I do this? I give them the advice I can and say, I am not an expert. If you want more advice, potentially you should look into some courses, or, you know, these are some of the pages on Instagram I recommend, etc.
Yeah. So how are you balancing the gym, your personal life, this very long work week that you're having, and how are you balancing all that?
It's definitely interesting. You know, I have to say I'm not the most consistent poster. I probably post 2 to 3 times a week, and I try to include some sort of value in that, whether it's in the caption or in the video. And a lot of my videos are made the day before and then posted the next day. So it's like I'd like to create a content schedule, and I'm getting there as I kind of feel out this new job. But for now, it's just kind of on the fly. And I think the balance really comes down to I don't do much during the week. I sometimes record in the morning during gym sessions or on the way to work, and then sometimes after work. But it's mostly on the weekends that I record a lot of my content and do a lot of the planning and editing.
So you're only posting 2 to 3 times a week, and you've achieved 25,000 followers in 4 months.
Yeah. So if you break it down, I think I've had quite a few reels that have hit. I don't know what you consider viral, but I've posted 50 times, have 26.4 right now, I believe. Let me check. 26.4 followers, 1,000 followers. So I average about 500 followers a video. Now, I think that a lot of my followers have come from very specific videos. However, my content seems to be genuine enough and not spammy, not clickbaity. Genuinely me, who I am. And I have been fortunate enough that social media and my followers have just liked that. I also think I'm fortunate that my niche has not been opened up to a lot of people yet. Investment banking, I can't find another influencer who does investment banking and fitness. It just doesn't exist. Additionally, there's a couple other finance folks that do finance and fitness, but not investment banking. And investment banking is a huge keyword that a lot of people look for, and it's not posted about. There's probably 6 or 7 total accounts that really activate the keyword investment banking on Instagram's algorithm. And so because of that, it allows my content to be pushed more, even though I'm not super consistent with posting.
So is that, now that you're in the industry and you have a job in the industry, are you seeing that a lot of people are that are in that industry are into fitness as well? Did that kind of inspire it?
No, definitely not. So I think that's what makes me unique is because investment banking it requires so many hours. Typically, a lot of people don't go to the gym or exercise at all. It's all work. And so people seeing me calling myself an investment banker, being an investment banker, and also being able to go to the gym, it raises a question. It makes them interested, saying, I didn't think this was possible. So of course they see my page. I am very clear that I'm not at like the most prestigious bank. I'm not at the highest point in my career or anything like that. I'm just a guy that works hard at work, cares about my career, wants to get a high earning, high finance career, but understand that health is important. And I do my best to show people that you can prioritize both without going to the extremes of one or the other. You don't have to be this huge bodybuilder or this absolute health nut marathon runner and try to have like a career too. And you also don't have to be the most high earning, prestigious, career, have the best career coming out of undergrad, and totally neglect your health and personal life and mental health, really. And I think that that's just not found anywhere else on Instagram or TikTok, really.
Are you posting on TikTok as well?
I have not, but I have plans to start.
Awesome. And YouTube, are you just on Instagram right now?
Yep, just on Instagram. And that's it was really just kind of like Instagram is the app I'm comfortable with. I know it. I'm going to test it, see how it goes, and then expand from there.
Makes sense. Yeah. So you were saying that there's not a lot of people that go to the gym because of the long work weeks. Do you think that people that could see your content in banking and all that, do you think they could see that and say, well, this guy is doing this. He's in the gym. He's got his personal life and he's running social media. He's doing all these things. Do you think that could help you get a jump in your career, like jump further, faster? Just people seeing that dedication?
I don't think so. Oftentimes, social media can actually be a huge downside to banks. And that's, I think, a big reason why you don't see as many people. For example, I keep my name anonymous, my city anonymous, the school I went to anonymous, all of that, my personal life anonymous. And that's because if we have a client at our firm and they see something I'm posting and they disagree with it, banking is a huge relationship business. And so if that relationship is frustrated, even by someone as low as an analyst like I am, it can really cause problems. And so I had to be very upfront before I joined the firm. I said, hey, I have this social media page. And I actually accepted the offer at the firm and then created the social media page after the fact. And within a short time, it grew so much that I went up to them and I said, hey, I have this social media page. What are your guidelines on it? What are your rules about it? I want to prioritize work as much as I can and make sure I'm taking all the necessary precautions, right? And they said, totally fine. Here are our guidelines. Make sure that you don't ever mention name or clients or, that you're compliant the whole time. And it's best, while we don't require you to remain anonymous, it's probably best that you do because it could frustrate in the future a lot easier.
Gotcha. That does make sense for sure. So going forward, how are you looking to grow more? You said you're going to expand to other platforms. Is there any other content ideas that you have or anything of the manner of growing more?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is to just document my life a little better. People seem to react positively to value coupled with experience. People want the tips of how to break into investment banking. They want tips of how to, even investment banking aside, the corporate world, how to go to a 9-to-5 job and also stay in good shape and have a good personal life and all that, like wellness and stuff. I think my plan is to give that value, what I do or what I suggest, and then also back it up by my experiences. It's similar, I'm sure you've seen in like the fitness industry. You don't want a personal trainer that's fat, right? Even if they're knowledgeable, there's just something off. So if you can see someone that is super fit and knowledgeable, great. Also, I show that while I know some, I don't know everything. So come learn with me, And I think showing like some of the day in the lives or My I started a series called Week in Review. Didn't receive a ton of good reception, but people were interested in it. The people that did watch it engaged, right? Stuff like that is kind of how I continue to plan to grow.
Awesome. Well, I think you're doing great. I mean, that's very impressive to be at your following at the amount of time that you've been doing it and to have the connection that you're getting and the viral videos that you're getting. That's impressive. That's awesome. And that you're balancing it on top of the career you're in. It's just that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I think I really owe a lot of it to the people that follow me. They hold me accountable. They encourage me. They slide up in my DMs and they say, "Hey, you've helped me so much." Even though it's just quick tips through instant messaging and stuff like that, I think the encouragement makes a difference. And so that's what keeps me going. That's what motivates me to post when I can, to message these kids back, because I pretty much constantly have at least 20 message requests. Even if I get through 20 in a given day, within 2 days, it'll be filled back up. And so it usually takes me 5 to 7 days to respond. My message box is rarely empty. But seeing that people are continuously not only reaching out to me at first time, but then coming back and giving me updates about how things go, shows me that like what I'm doing matters. Even if it's just with a few kids, following aside, what I'm doing is helping. And like that feeling, of course, is like, sweet, this is worth it, besides just working like a corporate job, let's say.
Yeah, I feel like once you start to see the benefit that you're having on other people, you feel more like an obligation. And on those days where you're like, man, I don't really want to do this. If you didn't have the following, you might not do it that day. But then you're like, well, shoot, got to do it, I guess. I,
Right.
yeah, I get that. Well, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah. I guess I'm just a little curious. What is it that you do? What on social media and in life, where are you headed?
Yeah, so I work with my family. It's my dad mostly, and I that do a social media page called The Guy on everywhere, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, every platform. And we take dad jokes from the internet and we'll turn them into skits and just do them in a skit style. And so we just do that all day long, all the time, just pumping out tons of content on that. I spend a lot of time with my girlfriend, so we'll go on trips and stuff, little getaways and go to the lake and stuff. But that's more personal side. Business wise, working on that. But with the following that we have, because we do have about 1.6 million total across all platforms,
That's
I'm
great.
starting to use that following to do this and interview creators, get their insights, because I look at it as I can interview people that, yeah, they're smaller in following, but they might have information that's valuable to me, but not just to me. More importantly, to people that could watch the podcast, watch the interview, and they could get little snippets of information that are like, well, I could do that. I like this guy did it, get motivation, get information out of it. And so, yeah, I'm starting my own personal page on top of the guy page that I'm already part of and trying to monetize that in the future.
That's sweet. I think it's interesting. I've been in the game a very short time, but as a consumer of social media and now a producer, feel like I've seen a shift in value focused back to, and like clickbaity, like this is how you do this in this amount of time with these steps. I've seen a shift from that back to more of like genuine social connection. And social media, as I'm sure you've seen the videos, like social media is not social anymore. And I really do think there's this kind of shift going on, that people want this genuine connection with the value. So the value is still important. You just can't necessarily lead as much with that. It's found not as much in the actual video, but maybe in the captions, or the value comes with time. Like it comes in increments rather than all at once, do this right now. Because it's hard for people to act right away, of course. And so they want to trust now, get to know the person before acting on the principles they give them. And whether that's true or not, that's just been my observation. And we'll see if that if the market kind of continues to trend that way. But that's just something I've noticed.
Well, I think you're right. I think that a lot of people, when social media, I wouldn't say was new, but I think was coming into the age of the clickbaity stuff, people were kind of attracted to the clickbaits and the unrealistic view that some of these YouTubers and these content creators would have. And it's just snappy, fast clickbait, really. People were attracted to that because it was flashy and, whatever attracted them to it. But I think now people are starting to feel more genuine. They want genuine connections with people and they want a real reality. They don't want the fake stuff. Not everyone has a Lamborghini that they can go do flashy stuff with. They want people that drive a Honda Civic, but then they're doing this too that is interesting. Because there's a lot of people that don't have a Lamborghini that are doing something really cool, and then they can do that on social media and get the same amount of attention now. Whereas before, they probably couldn't because they didn't have the flashy thing that would clickbait people in. And I think that's just because people are tired of fake stuff and they want reality again. So I think you're right on that.
Sure. I mean, we could take Sam Sulek as the prime example, right? He's like number one with that sort of thing. He was just about as genuine as you can get, just recorded whatever, barely did any edits, if any, and posted, and people loved it.
Exactly.
Given that, he's still huge. He's jacked. I mean, and so there's the trust, right? There's the trust that I was talking about earlier, and the value with the genuine connection.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't have to have the flashy stuff. You just have to have the skill. And then if you can
Right.
put the skill into the right words, then people are like, I like this guy. So
There you go.
yeah, I agree with that big time. It was awesome talking to you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
You too. See ya.